What's going on YouTube, FuzzyLogic here, bringing you a new video about Vanilla WoW Dungeons. Vanilla WoW was a slower paced game, and therefore dungeons were slower and took significantly longer to complete as mobs simply took more time to kill. Dungeons back in Vanilla were more of a time investment, so it made killing the final boss or getting that bit of loot you wanted a tad more meaningful. Because of the amount of time dungeons took as you were levelling, it definitely wasn't the most efficient way to level, unless you had a number of quests for said dungeon. By the time you'd gotten a group together and summoned everyone and actually completed the dungeon, assuming you had a good group, that's a hell load of questing and grinding XP you'd missed out on. When searching for a group, it was always a good idea to have shareable quests so it would entice people to join your group. Nowadays in retail WoW, dungeon quests are available at the start of the dungeon, however back in Vanilla these quests were spread out across various zones on the map, which made it less likely that you would have all the quests for a dungeon. This encouraged exploration of the world and communication with other players to share quests, which added to the feeling of epic scale and social aspects of the game. With a number of quests for a dungeon, plus XP from mobs and the chance of getting gear, dungeons were a much more attractive option. Once you had gathered your group together, due to the time investment aspect of dungeons, everyone in the group knew exactly what they were getting into once they accepted that invite. Due to the slower pace of the game, players knew they were in it for the long haul and would have more of an invested interest in the dungeon. This meant that people would be less inclined to rage quit as they do today, and would have more than a one wipe tolerance. Because of all these reasons, dungeons felt like a more social experience back in Vanilla. You would meet people similar to how you do in real life. They could end up being someone who you build a friendship with in game and end up joining a guild together, or equally they could just be someone who's waiting for the last boss so they could ninja loot everything. Back in Vanilla, one of the key differences to dungeons now was the need to strategize for groups of mobs. Some groups were too large or too challenging to pull all at once, so you'd have to make use of CC or crowd control abilities such as Polymorph for a mage, Sap for a rogue, Freezing Trap for a hunter, Fear for a warlock, and so on. By doing this, it would make groups more manageable and avoid any unwanted wipes. No one really enjoyed those long runs back to the dungeon.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Personally, I feel like rewards felt more significant back in Vanilla. For example, if you finally got that sword that you've been farming for days, you'd feel like you just won the lottery. Not only would your character look like an absolute boss, but it would also improve your ability to level. The better your gear was, the faster you'd kill stuff and the faster you'd level. Dungeons were also required to be completed at higher levels for achievements for raids. So for example, you'd need to run BRD to get attuned to Molten Core. For Onyxia, you'd have to do Upper Blackrock Spire a few times, and so on. The point is that dungeons felt like they had more of a meaning past just getting gear and joining the LFR queue. The game would give you reasons to go back to a dungeon, and you'd feel like you were achieving something beyond just getting gear. Even if you were just going back to the dungeon to get a bit of gold or hopefully find some epics that you could sell on the AH, it still felt like you were achieving something. Admittedly, the attunement system wasn't that popular with everyone. Finding 40 men for a raid was hard enough, let alone having to worry about whether they were actually attuned or not. It's really no wonder Blizzard decided to remove this feature in later expansions. Overall, I personally really enjoyed Vanilla WoW Dungeons, as it felt like they were more of an experience than they are now. Having to invest time and strategize, rewards feeling greater, and the sense that you're achieving more than just getting gear, I think made Vanilla Dungeons really epic. Let me know what you guys think about Vanilla Dungeons. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is there anything that you would have liked to change about Vanilla Dungeons? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more Vanilla WoW and gaming content. See you in the next one, guys. Peace.